Hello and welcome to another episode of App Stories. Today's episode is brought to you by Notion. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Fetici. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Doing all right.
It's been a strange week, I think. I got some writing done, and then
Same.
I didn't finish the writing, and that gave me some more time for experimentation. We're going to talk about things we would like to see Apple do in this episode. It's a kind of a fun topic. I think we've done a variation. Obviously, we do our wish lists. I think we mentioned in the past, like, how we would like Apple to get weird and do things. Before we get to that, I want to bring a random hardware recommendation to the episode that I will also add to the MacStories setups page, which we updated this week. There's a big update to the MacStories setups page. But I wanted to mention my new portable DAC. In fact, let me see if I can grab this from my storage over here. Let me see if I can grab it because it's quite small. So, okay, here it is. So I found this little thing.
Oh, wow. That is tiny.
Yeah, it's about as big as an iPhone.
It's about the space below the camera bump.
Like the
basically.
space below a 16 Pro Max. So this is called I don't know if the camera can pick it up if you're watching the video version.
It's a little hard to see. It's
a little hard to see because it's a very thin font. So this is the iFi without an H, iFi, I-F-I, iFi, Hip DAC 3. So it's hip. Or maybe you can carry it on your hip.
On your hip?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
This is a portable DAC that my plan is to stick like a MagSafe ring in the back of it so that I can attach it to the back of the iPhone. And you got this really short USB-C audio cable that I can I can basically sort of do this when I'm plugging it in, right? This allows me
you might, with two right angles, you might even be able to get that on there.
Yeah, maybe. But I wanted to get this because it's been a long time since I played around with Apple Music, obviously, which I'm testing for iOS 26. And Apple Music, unlike Spotify, has been supporting lossless and high-res lossless for a long time now. Yep. And obviously this one is certified for, there's the usual yellow stamp of approval. It's certified for high-res audio, 24-bit audio, no problem. I wanted to use it with my really good headphones, and specifically, I wanted to find something that would allow me to test Apple Music lossless playback again with my Abyss Diana headphones. These are really expensive, open ear overhead, over-ear headphones. These open back headphones. These are headphones that I purchased 5-6 years ago.
And I remember when you got them.
Yeah, these are like flagship headphones. They're basically these headphones and the Hi-Fi Man Susvara, also very expensive headphones. They're gonna stay with me for my entire life, most likely. It's an investment essentially. And I wanted to find the smallest portable DAC. So it's a digital audio converter. That I could use with my Diana headphones, which I prefer in terms of design and comfort and the weight to the Susvara. The Susvara are really hard to drive because they require a lot of power. The Diana are perfect for this tiny thing, which also has a built-in battery, so it doesn't sort of draw energy from your phone. And it's got 2 ports. It's got a standard jack, and it's also got the 4.4 millimeter balanced output. So I can use that with my balanced cable for the Diana. And I've been listening to Apple Music with this plugged into my iPhone in high-res lossless and lossless. With my headphones, and it's really good and it's really nice. I missed being able to do this. It's been a few years since I last played around with this, and the plan right now is to basically turn this into a little, almost like a MagSafe battery. I ordered on Amazon one of those MagSafe rings. I'm gonna stick it to the back, and my plan is to just do this so that I have a really portable setup. Obviously the audio the audio control, the volume control wheel will be at the top, so I can just set the volume before I attach it, because otherwise it's kind of hard to operate. But I wanted to bring this to the show. I'm gonna add it to the setups page. It's like a couple $100. It's not I mean, it's expensive for what it is, but obviously in the audiophile world, it's not that expensive. And sort
No.
of the bang for your buck with this thing is excellent. So
Oh, that's great. That's great. Does it get warm at all when you use
no,
it? I mean,
no,
that's good. That's good.
no.
Here's a Teach Olympics prediction for you. I've got one. You're going to get a 16E and attach it to the back of the 16E for a dedicated music device.
Oh no, I don't really want to have two iPhones again.
I don't know. I have two now, and it's totally fine. It's fine if you don't use the second iPhone like an iPhone. If it's like a single purpose device, like mine's all just for video. Yours could be just for music. I literally got rid of all the system apps pretty much. I got rid of anything that didn't have to do with audio and video.
That's like an iPod. It's like an iPod, basically.
Yeah, it is. It is essentially, and I might use it for a few other things in the future. But for now, it's just operating as a camera. I want to tell you about one of my Prime Day purchases, Federico. I got a very good deal on a big, beautiful battery. It is an Anker battery that is 1,024 watt hours. It's
okay.
Wow. It's one of the ones that has regular standard wall outlets on it. I think 6 of them.
Okay.
As well as 2 USB-C and 2 USB-A. And I'm going to replace my uninterruptible power supply, my UPS, with it because it has UPS functionality built into it. It's not as quick to switch over as a traditional UPS. It's like 20 milliseconds instead of 4. But for computers and most electronics, that's totally fine. And it solves a problem that I have had, which is we do get violent storms in North Carolina, and sometimes my power goes out. And if my power goes out, because we don't have good cellular here, I may have laptops and things that have enough battery to get me through a working day. I don't have the internet, though, if my power goes out. So what this battery is going to allow me to do is to keep it in my office, use it as a UPS. When the power goes out, I can run my computer, monitor, all that stuff off of it, and also run my cable, my fiber router and Wi-Fi off of it. So at a minimum, I'll be able to continue working if we've got a show scheduled or something. So that's a piece of my backup puzzle that hasn't been in place before and has disrupted our schedule a couple of times. And I'm going to give this Anker battery a try. It should work for about 7 hours, I estimate, if I need it.
Huh. Okay. That sounds.
It's a big battery, but it's the kind of thing you put under your desk. You don't have it like sitting out.
Right. Well, congrats on your new baby, John.
Yes.
All right.
This episode of App Stories is brought to you by Notion. Notion AI is the all-in-one AI powered by your work and all in one place. It automatically captures meeting notes, instantly finds the exact content you need, drafts detailed documents for you, and lets you chat with the best AI models in the world. Notion AI also just became twice as powerful for teams, making it the best AI tool for work. The thing I love about Notion is how easy it makes it to keep yourself organized. If you take a lot of notes, it's a perfect way to organize that stuff because not only can you keep it orderly and exactly where it's easy to find again, but you can view it in a whole bunch of different ways with all sorts of views. I discovered Notion probably about 5 years ago, and it's that organization, that fundamental way that Notion allows you to keep organized and avoid having to search for things over and over again that has helped me stick around. And with Notion AI, you can take everything a whole step further because the Notion AI can take those documents. It can summarize meeting notes. It can create documents wholesale on topics for you. It's really the sky's the limit, and your creativity is the only limitation to how you can use Notion AI in your day-to-day work. AI meeting notes mean you can take every idea, decision, and next step and capture it in Notion. And it can capture anything, whether it's meetings, one-on-one conversations, lectures, and even podcast episodes. And it works on any meeting platform or just your system audio. Transcripts and summaries mean you can find any past idea, insight, and decision alongside all of your other information. Notion has top AI models built right in. Choose from the best AI models for the task, like GPT 4.1 or Claude 3.7 Sonnet, and chat with it directly in Notion. No separate subscription or tab needed. Plus, it's used by over half the Fortune 500 companies, and teams that use Notion send less email, cancel more meetings, and save time searching for their work, reduce spending on tools, and keep everyone on the same page. It's also used by the fastest growing companies like OpenAI, Ramp, and Versal. They all use Notion AI to make processes faster and help their teams stay ahead. Check out Notion, the best AI tool for work, right now at notion.com/appstories. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/appstories to try the powerful all-in-one Notion AI today. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show. That's notion.com/appstories. Our thanks to Notion for their support of the show. Yes.
All right, so we're talking about the you label this as like the big ticket things we'd like to see Apple do. It's just a random collection of things like fields we would like to see Apple explore, things we would like to see Apple do. Can I go first?
Yeah, go for it.
So I really would like to have, and this I think it's something that we have in common. I want to have a Siri chatbot much.
So bad. Yeah.
So here's the thing. I've been playing around with a lot of AI in the past, especially in the past 8 months, right? Started with the last Christmas break. Been playing around with all of these things. And, these things, they have an ebb and flow. Obviously, all of these companies, they try to one-up each other. There's a Google with Gemini, OpenAI with ChatGPT, Anthropic with Claude. Now, apparently, even Grok, the one from X, with all of the political drama and, Grok went rogue a few days ago before the launch of Grok 4 and started, sort of spewing out Nazi propaganda, which is, slightly concerning.
Yeah,
but
not great.
Not great at all. And they turned it off. And then the CEO of X was not fired, but she left. And then
they said, no, use this model instead. Don't worry about that Nazi one.
And then the next day they launched Grok 4, and Grok 4 seems to be, if you just look at the benchmarks, a state-of-the-art model. But hey, it turns out I cannot use it because it's like not approved in the European Union. But if we just focus on the three big ones, right? Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude. I feel like, especially in the past month, maybe a couple of months, my workflow has been pretty equally split between two of them, and that's ChatGPT and Claude. And I particularly like how Claude can integrate with MCP servers, so external or third-party integrations for things like Gmail or Zapier, you name it. You got desktop connectors if you're using macOS. You can use native MCP integrations like Hypercontext by Undersporum, or another excellent one is called iMCP, which is based on a similar concept. It's a menu bar app on the Mac that connects Claude to a bunch of native features. And that's the thing. The idea of an LLM connected to native features of the OS. My problem is that I want an LLM connected to all of the native features of the Apple ecosystem on my phone. I want to be able to have a conversation, right? And I want to be able that thing to integrate with reminders, with my Apple Calendar, with notes, with, messages. Like, I want to have a version of Siri. Siri already does this to an extent, right? It can, the whole thing about Siri is that it can integrate with your native system features, with your data on your phone or your iPad or whatever. But it doesn't have the capabilities of a chatbot. And it doesn't understand you. And it's not based on a large language model. So
I also think it should be, I want to be clear, at least for me, this goes beyond what has been promised with App Intents, because App Intents is great. And I love the idea of what has been previewed that hopefully will come out someday. But this is something beyond that, because I feel the same way. It's like, I want this to be a chatbot that is trained. I want it to be a dedicated app, but I also want it to be transit. I want to be able to open any of my apps and have Siri be woven into the fabric of those apps so that I can use that information in different ways.
Yeah. And I want to be able to not just type to Siri, for those like,
right, exactly.
30-second interactions. I want to have a full-blown app. I want to have an icon on my home screen that I open and I see all of my private conversations with Siri.
And understands at a system level the context of what you do on your Mac. It understands that on, Thursday morning, Federico is recording app stories. So maybe it should suggest opening up Audio Hijack or something. Just a lot of the contextual stuff, which really isn't there in any meaningful way right now.
Because what I feel that it's happening now, and I think this is true for me, and I think it's true for a lot of other people, what's happening now is that as ChatGPT especially continues to, as OpenAI continues to evolve, ChatGPT continues to add more and more features, they are creating a lock-in effect. ChatGPT, I'm using it more than Google. Like whenever I have a question, I no longer open Google. I just open ChatGPT. And I think that is true for a lot of people. And I'm afraid that I'm afraid for when it comes to the Apple side of things, but OpenAI is doing the right thing, which is they're creating a lock-in effect where ChatGPT has a memory. It knows you, knows your preferences, knows your previous conversations. It can search the web. And the moment I think that they're going to connect ChatGPT to external integrations, that's going to be even more of a problem for Apple, right? Because you're basically now creating your own little operating system with a little slice of your life and your online identity into ChatGPT, which is probably why OpenAI gave $6 billion to Johnny Ive to build them a computer or whatever it's gonna be. So I really want Apple to be serious in this space, and it all starts with the chatbot because, like it or not, people are using them, and I feel like I am. Whenever I open ChatGPT and I realize, I'm spending 30 minutes in ChatGPT, I realize those are 30 minutes that I could have spent using Apple software instead of giving my data. I'm intentionally giving my data and my knowledge and my memories to a third-party company.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's the kind of thing that Apple really needs. And I think there are at least a few things here that we can talk about today that have some connection to artificial intelligence, because obviously that's one of the big things that's out there right now. I'm going to start with, let's see, I guess I want to start with shortcuts. I think that one of the biggest frustrations I've had with LLMs is that none of them are good at shortcuts. Shortcuts, if you ask any, Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT to help you build a shortcut, it falls down very fast. It tends to hallucinate actions almost 50% of the time, I want to say. It feels like constantly. And I even tried a project in Claude where I fed it a long list that I found of shortcuts actions, at least the system ones. I fed it that. I fed it all the manual pages that Apple publishes for shortcuts. I wanted to see if I fed it enough context, if it could do a better job with shortcuts. And the answer was no, it really didn't. So I would love to see Apple build into its own LLM an awareness and understanding of shortcuts that allows people to build shortcuts more easily and seamlessly without having to dig through the library. I think that's the kind of thing where, we've already seen Apple doing some of this with the new OSs that are coming in the fall, integrating their LLMs in various places in dedicated system apps. And I think that kind of Siri Chatbot sidebar would work really well in shortcuts, where you could get some advice and help along the way as to how to connect up various parts of a shortcut.
Yeah. I would like to see Apple make glasses. Obviously, that's gonna be my thing. I
think we'll get that one. I think we'll get that one.
I think, and that's a big one for Apple, right? Especially as I'm guessing the company was surprised by the popularity and the success of the Meta Ray-Bans. I stopped using my Meta Ray-Bans, not because I don't like the product, but because I'm repulsed by Meta, and that's just my thing. Really dislike the company. I'm sorry. But actually, no, I'm not sorry. That's what I think. I really feel like there's an opportunity for Apple to make, I don't know, iPods, whatever you want to call them, or AirPods glasses. They have all of the, realistically, they have all of the pieces, right? They know how to make small cameras.
Right.
They know how to make great audio. They have the audio pods for the Vision Pro. They know how to sort of beam audio into your ears. They have great taste. They have great design skills. I'm convinced that if there's a company that can make really good everyday glasses, and I'm not talking about XR glasses, although that may be the end goal, right? To get
Right,
something
right.
like Vision OS running on those glasses. I just would like to be able to go out and walk the dogs or take out the trash or something and wear glasses, maybe eyeglasses with prescription, maybe they have transition lenses. And if I want to, I can listen to music or I can listen to podcasts, and I can have Siri to make calls, or I can send a text, or I don't know, I can take a quick photo of something, just essentially what I'm asking for is a wearable version of AirPods, but for my face, not for my ears, that has a
Yeah.
camera. So something that complements, not that replaces, but something that complements the Apple Watch and the AirPods, which are Apple's two most popular wearables. I think there's room for a third category of device there, and that's glasses. So really, maybe that's something that we will see in 2026 or 2027. I think XR glasses from Apple are a ways out, probably by 2030. I don't know. But hey, start
Yeah.
simple. Just make glasses with a camera and a microphone and some speakers.
I think by the time they're going to come out, though, I'm not so sure simple is where they need to be. You know what I mean? I mean, the
Maybe.
Meta Ray-Bans have been out for what, almost 2 years with speakers and a camera. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I would like to have that too and see how it goes, but I guess we'll see. I want Apple to do something with its dictation system that's similar to Super Whisper. Super Whisper is a dictation AI app where you can define various contexts for the kind of audio that you're recording. So maybe for reminders, I want the dictation app to take whatever I say and turn it into a structure for a reminder that doesn't have a period at the end or something, and maybe tightens it up a little. Because what it's doing is it's taking that audio, feeding it to an LLM, and then spitting back something that structures that spoken word into text in a way that fits the app that you're using. And I think Apple's dictation system is very good. I do use it. It's a nice way to quickly write down something with your voice, but it doesn't have that kind of contextual awareness. And this goes back to kind of what we were talking about a little while ago, very similar, which is if Apple can use its LLMs to kind of enhance its existing features, this seems to me like a pretty good way to be able to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really like Super Whisper. I think it's a really good dictation app, and there's been a renaissance of these dictation apps lately, and I feel like there's probably room for Apple to have, I don't know, something like a little overlay on macOS, especially even on the iPad, arguably, where you can just dictate without necessarily having to use the keyboard. I never use dictation on my iPhone or the iPad as much as I use dictation on the Mac, and that's primarily because I really like the idea of a separate UI for it that is not built into the keyboard.
Yeah.
Especially when
I've been using it more. I've been using it more, dictation a lot more on my iPhone for text messages than I used to, because it's quite good. And it's, I don't know. I'm trying to get over decades of feeling like I had to type everything with my fingers on a keyboard of some kind.
All right. What else can I mention? I want Apple to. I don't think merging macOS and iPadOS is the right answer.
Right.
But I would like to see Apple make a hybrid platform where I think, especially if you look at iPadOS 26 now and macOS 26 now, they share so many design sensibilities and they share so many of the same technologies. And you maybe get to the point where you got to ask yourself, is it worth it that we're making two separate platforms for computers that they share a lot of common DNA? I guess this is what I'm trying to say. The Mac and the iPad obviously have their differences. You look at an iMac and you look at an iPad mini, those are two wildly different products. But then you look at laptops, right? And you look at some of the features of the operating systems, and they have a lot of DNA in common. And so I wonder if maybe down the road there would be room for something like something that is not macOS and something that is not iPadOS either, but a brand new platform that is sort of a combination of the two, or maybe a system where you're essentially still using iPadOS and macOS, but the system can switch between the two different use cases when necessary. I mean, you look at the iPad. We now have a menu bar, right? There's a menu bar on the iPad. There's windowing on the iPad. The apps are created in the same way. You gotta wonder what's the long term play here. Is it really, realistically speaking, do we imagine that 10 years from now we will still have an iPadOS and a macOS that continue to grow with the same features shared between them, but they continue to be separate? And so, if Apple ever does a MacBook Pro with touch, or an iPad that folds open into an even bigger iPad, you have to wonder what's the play there. And I hope that their strategy is to say, well, we're taking the best lessons from macOS and we're taking the best lessons from iPadOS and we're doing something new.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because, when you think about it, maybe it was a mistake at the very beginning to base the iPad off of the iPhone.
Maybe.
It,
I don't
I
know.
think my answer to that is no, because the iPhone was so successful at the time, and the Mac was a fraction of the size it is today. So I think it kind of grow into that more than it. I think it was better growing into where it is today as a laptop replacement than it is going the other way and trying to be a laptop replacement from the get-go. But that's an interesting thought experiment. I'm going to in homage of upgrade. I have a couple of acquisitions that I
Okay.
think that Apple should make. Okay, because I know that they did this recently, spending Apple's
Yeah.
money on acquisitions recently on upgrade, and I had a couple that I thought of that I thought would be interesting. The first goes back to gaming and
Mhm.
Apple, and that is, what do they do? Do they buy something? Do they buy a company that's really big, like Valve, for instance? That's an interesting possibility. What I actually think that they should do, though, is not do that. I think what they need are tastemakers, and I think they need tastemakers at a company that has a proven track record for high quality artistic video games. And for me, that means something like Devolver Digital and Annapurna. Both of
Mhm.
those companies have very good taste historically in the games that they've published, and they've also have experience not just with publishing on consoles and the PC, but also on the Mac and on mobile. So those are my two video game acquisitions that I would have Apple make. What
Mm.
do you think of those, Federico?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think I don't foresee Apple making a big acquisition like Valve. Um,
Right. These would be small enough that I think it would be something that they might actually do. And it'd be like what they did with TV with Sony. They would get some people in there who are, veterans of the industry.
yeah, yeah. I'm still not convinced that Apple fully gets gaming. So you've always been more optimistic than me when it comes to Apple and games. But I think if they have to make an acquisition in gaming, then they should be acquiring small studios with excellent taste. Yeah.
Right, right. And the other acquisition is a really, really big one that I know a lot of people think that isn't possible because it's just too expensive, but it's Anthropic. Because
Mm.
Anthropic is good with code. It's supposedly quite good with Swift. It has gone, it pioneered the MCP system to attach apps to the LLM, which I think Apple could take and run with. Now, in terms of that price, I get it. That company is worth billions of dollars. And you look at Apple, you're like, well, they have a lot of cash, but they don't have that much cash. Well, you don't need cash. These are big companies. They could buy Anthropic in stock. They could buy Anthropic with debt. There's a lot of ways that they could do this. Yes, it would be a huge acquisition. It would be like historical proportions. But I think Apple right now has a big problem because they just lost one of the top people working on their LLMs. And Apple is not historically super well known for paying top dollar for their engineers. That, a lot of people just want to work at Apple. I don't think that's working in the LLM space right now. People are chasing the money and they're chasing the hot companies like Anthropic and OpenAI right now. And I think for Apple to acquire the talent, as well as what I think are some good products that would do well with the kind of resources that Apple has from just a money and a people standpoint, Anthropic makes a ton of sense if you can get past the money thing.
I don't know. I mean, I would love to see it. I think it's probably too big of an acquisition, and there's also like a matter of hubris, maybe. Like if you're Apple, do you think you can sort of, like coast until you have really good foundation models, and in the meantime partner up with OpenAI and Anthropic to use their models and basically use them as a stopgap until you have a good foundation model? But what you're saying is also equally true, which is, well, can you really have a state-of-the-art foundation model if nobody wants to work for you and you're not paying top dollar, which is a problem that has, come to light, especially in the past month with Meta and Zuckerberg being like, well, we want to assemble an artificial super intelligence team and, spare no expense. We're just going to give, they hired the head of the foundation models at Apple with a $200 million contract, which is like $100 million signing bonus and another $100 million contract, plus, other benefits, I'm sure. But it's like Tim Cook's salary was $74 million last year. So you're paying more than double the CEO of Apple. So I don't know, like these companies, like, so what you're saying in terms of like, well, you got to spend the money now if you want to.
Right. And then what I'm saying is that, like, obviously there's a problem internally if you try to hire employees to work on that LLM and you're paying them 2, 3, 10 times what you're paying your average engineer at Apple, that becomes like an internal political thing between your employees. If you buy the company and bring those people in, it's maybe a little easier because you're buying the company. You're not actually hiring those people individually. But I mean, obviously you'd have to work out their salaries and everything too. But I don't know. I feel like it's a way to short circuit a lot of problems.
And you really think they would be able to do it even without like an all cash deal?
Yeah, I mean, Apple's a really well regarded stock that has been solid for decades now. I don't see why not. I don't see why they couldn't do it as a stock deal, or just do it as debt. Then it's cash to the company that's purchased. It's just Apple has to pay it over time.
Would it be a problem, the thing that people mention all the time, that both Google and Amazon have a stake in Anthropic?
Yeah, probably. I mean, who knows what rights they have to, say no to some kind of acquisition. They may have some kind of say in that matter, and they may stand in the way and make it cost even more if if Apple wants to get in there and get them out. But yeah, I mean, I have no idea what the impediments are from a legal standpoint, but I think money shouldn't be one of them. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. You know what? I want to go back on a tangent on the LLMs for a minute. You mentioned that you're primarily using ChatGPT and Claude. What is it about Gemini that doesn't click for you? Because I kind of feel the same way, and I have a very hard time putting my finger on what is that bothers me about it.
I think it's a combination of things. I think I use Gemini for like heavy duty tasks, especially because of the 1 million token context window. So whenever I gotta search like my archive of iOS reviews, Gemini is the most accurate one so far. GPT 4.1 also has a 1 million token context window, but I don't believe OpenAI's claims that they have perfect retrieval for the needle in a haystack problem, because GPT 4.1, when you give it 1 million tokens, it hallucinates responses all the time, and Google Gemini doesn't. But Gemini, I think it's a problem also, the fact that the native app on the phone is not good. They don't have an app on the iPad. They don't have a native app on the Mac. And especially when you look at ChatGPT, I really feel like OpenAI has done some excellent work when it comes to integrating natively on Apple's platforms. They got their excellent integration on macOS, the Works with ChatGPT sort of initiative, where ChatGPT can plug directly into Mac apps.
Yep.
And like they're also like good iOS citizens with widgets, shortcut actions, and of course they have their integration with Apple Intelligence. So Gemini, I feel like Gemini works better on Android, but if you work on Apple computers, on Apple platforms, it kind of loses that advantage. And I feel like ChatGPT and Claude also are better integrated. But I think from a simple user experience standpoint, I feel like ChatGPT is the best one right now.
I think one of the things that bothers me about Gemini, I think, is that it's too wordy. I find that when I do research on it, it gives me more information than I want a lot of the time. And it also tends to that's an excellent question. Very insightful. It does an awful lot of that, complimenting you on your questions and then immediately hallucinating the responses. But I do use it. I use it probably more for the research end of things, like really detailed, like give me comparisons of these products or find me, needle in the haystack type web search type stuff. It's pretty good for. But I'm kind of the same way. I don't like the gems. I think the gem system isn't very good too.
Yeah. So that's ultimately, I think that's what it comes down to for me. It's like the user experience and the design. I really feel like OpenAI, even before Johnny Ive, had excellent design for its features. Now, supposedly, it's going to be even better because it's going to be all handled by Johnny Ive and IO Products, which is the company that OpenAI just acquired from Johnny Ive. So, I feel like it comes down. I don't like the way Gemini looks. Like it's as simple as that, maybe. All right. Well, I think we are going to be talking even more in the post-show for AppStories Plus members about some additional gadgets we would like Apple to make. So stuff we want to see. I mentioned the glasses, but we're gonna have a few more. And if you want to listen to that, that's exclusive to AppStories Plus, which is the ad-free longer version because it comes with an extra segment version of AppStories that comes out every week, a day before the regular episode, and is also ad-free. So you can sign up in essentially two main ways. You can just get a single AppStories Plus subscription. So you just want to subscribe to that. That's going to be $5 a month or $50 a year. And you can go to appstories.plus to sign up. Or if you're a Club MacStories member, you can sign up or upgrade to Club Premier, which includes all of Club MacStories and also bundles AppStories Plus in the same package. So you got a few options. And we're going to talk about additional gadgets we would like Apple to make.
And that's it for this week, Federico. You can find us over at macstories.net. I am on social media. I'm John Voorhees, at John Voorhees, and Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. I'll talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.